All right, let's go. Mushoku Tensei, Season 2, Special, Episode 0. And it is kind of special for two different reasons. One, it's an Episode 0 that's just not a recap, and two, this one is actually going to be outside of the 24 additional episodes we get for Season 2 as a whole. This episode covers two chapters, one of which is one of my favorite of all time, but they are the extra chapters from Volume 3, entitled The Princess of Asura and the Angel, and Volume 4's extra chapter, Guardian Fits, which is also the title of our episode. It begins immediately following the mass teleportation incident. We see a scene with Sylphie falling, and a few characters we've seen before, but now we get to actually be formally introduced to. We're in the middle of a discussion with Ariel and Luke as to their preference of nipples. This is very similar to what's going on in the light novel, so it is very true to the source material. The anime did make it a little less obvious as to what they're talking about. I think we'll see more of their personalities as the season continues to go, and they definitely have their own quirks and proclivities, so I can't wait to see more of Ariel and Luke as the season continues. We're also introduced to Derek Redbat. Now Luke and Derek are Ariel's guards. Luke is a swordsman, sword god style, and Derek is her magician. We get this really cool scene with Derek trying to encourage Ariel to consider being the ruler of the Asura kingdom, even though she's behind a couple of siblings in line, and she's just sitting there having her cake and eating it too. Literally. Perfect scene. Think it was really well done. Exactly what Ariel's state of mind is at that present time. Just so happens a Terminator boar had also been teleported, just like Sylphie, into the royal capital, and was about to attack all three of them. Now this is where I start to have a bit of an issue with, I guess, really how they handled the next couple of things in this chapter. The Terminator boar's attack on Derek, I felt like could have been shown a lot more clearer. I could see how some viewers who are not light novel readers may be a bit confused as to what happened there. Happened all very fast. So yeah, I would have appreciated a little bit more care with the scene. I guess Derek's death scene and his kind of like dying wish to Ariel. I think that could have been conveyed a whole lot clearer and a whole lot better. But all in all, Derek gets killed protecting Princess Ariel. Now, as Sylphie is falling, I've seen quite a bit of discussion online about this as well. We notice her hair color change from green to white. This is due to mana drain or mana exhaustion. Now, there are, in most cases, where a person's, mana drains, it can happen to them as well, but it's usually not a permanent thing. A permanent hair color change like Sylphie experiences is extremely rare. Sylphie comes down like a wrecking ball and crushes the Terminator boar's skull in, which was pretty cool. The animation has not taken a hit with this new season, contrary to rumors. All in all, though, the Princess of Asura and the Angel extra chapter done in under 4 minutes. They are moving at breakneck pace, which does have me kind of worried. Once again, would have liked to have seen them spend an extra minute or two on this chapter. I think there are some spots they could have did so at, but we'll talk about those here in a minute. Next scene includes Sylphie waking up and meeting Ariel, who essentially says, hey, we may have to punish you for breaking into the royal capital, but then gives her the option to take on a new identity as Fitz, her new bodyguard, which I guess works out great since Derek is no longer with us. Now really, we're about to meet 3 new characters, but in reality, all these characters in the episode we have kind of seen before in one way or the other. If you were paying attention, way back in episode 14 of chapter 1, you actually see Princess Ariel, Luke, and Fitz attending the execution of Lord Soros. The 2 characters largely instructing the execution turn out to be Grabble, Ariel's brother, and Darius. And there is a 3rd character we meet. He has been mentioned multiple times. I would say The one that stands out to me most is, I believe, on episode 22 of season 1. Paimon is mentioned when Eris finds out that her family had been killed. She could go and be the concubine of Paimon, but I believe he was also mentioned a couple times by Soros. It's also important to note that it was stated in this episode that Paimon is Luke's father. All this stuff, very important information. If you want to go back and watch some of those old episodes, I would highly recommend doing so. If having Soros executed wasn't enough to tell us that Grabble and this Darius fellow may not be the nicest of people, the conversations they have with Ariel and Paimon, kind of suspecting them of wanting to take the crown and be the next leader of the Asura Kingdom, pretty much seal the deal. And this is where we're really going to find a good bit of our conflict in this episode and, kind of for the foreseeable future with Ariel. Then we have another unfortunate scene that I have to put some criticism on, as big fan of Mushoku Tensei as I am. I really don't understand this scene with Fitz having what appears to be like PTSD or some sort of social anxiety disorder. This really threw me off and kind of took me out of the episode. It just, maybe I don't remember this part from the light novel. Maybe it's in there. It's just, it feels so out of place to me. I didn't really like it. And in regards to earlier, when I had mentioned there were some things I think that could have been replaced to make room for some additional content from the Volume 3 extra chapter, this is one of those things. I feel like they could have took this out of the episode, just gave us a little bit more with Derek Redbat. Think that would have been really good, but I digress. We'll keep moving forward. One thing I do remember from the Volume 4 extra chapter is the nightmares Fitz has, or Sylphie really, and Ariel rewarding her by allowing her to sleep in the bed, which I do believe even in the light novel Luke referred to that as a reward. So things get a little spicy when Sylphie arrives for her slumber party with the princess. More so, really, just Ariel teases her, but it was definitely a bonding moment for the two. You can tell they are becoming close friends. But unfortunately, in the middle of the night, they are attacked by an assassin. Yes, earlier in the episode, we got a scene with Grabble and Darius, our two antagonists for this episode, essentially plotting to put out a hit on Ariel. This assassin was also in that scene earlier with Darius and Grabble. She was the one on Darius's lap. However, this would be a failed attempt as Fitz, or Sylphie, has become a lot tougher of a person, and this is kind of the first chance we'll get to see this. But she absolutely destroys this assassin, blows her out the window, and she plummets to her death. Following the failed assassination attempt, Paimon and Ariel are essentially discussing how this would not be the last attempt, and it would be better if she got out of the Asura Kingdom. Using Ariel's popularity abroad to try and recruit foreign friends to their cause would be the best play at this point, so that is the plan they set out to enact. Before leaving, however, Ariel decides to relieve Fitz of her position as bodyguard, largely because of the way she kind of threatened her and forced her into the position. Feeling bad for really giving her no choice in the matter, and also not being able to help her in finding her family or friends, Ariel is just willing to let her go. Sylphie, however, doesn't abandon her friends, and the princess is Sylphie's friend now. They've kind of established that. So she's going to be joining her on this journey as well as Luke abroad. Just an interesting little fact about these two extra chapters here before we wrap up. In neither of these two chapters did they explicitly state that Fitz was Sylphie. Even in all of Volume 4, Fitz is always referred to as a him. Obviously, we're dealing with an anime now, so they can't really make that as ambiguous, but just thought it was a cool little fact you might want to know. Overall, I give the episode probably a 7 out of 10, and I think it sets up the rest of the season quite well. Hope you guys enjoyed the review and recap, and I will see you for the next one. I am out.